We all want more freedom, and a lot of us work hard now in the hope we'll feel free later. What if there was another way? A way to feel happier, more free, and confident to get better results right now. Welcome to Your Freedom Unlimited, where we share practical stories and strategies to help you show up authentically, drop your fears, and take inspired action on what matters most to you. I'm your host, Jen Ramsey. As a coach with a love for metaphysics, science, spirituality, and strategies that get results, I'll help you step away from self-doubt and create a powerful new story for your life, business, or career. Join me. When will they find out I can't do this job? Who am I to be teaching or leading others in this space? Who do I think I am to be taking on this project? Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Your Freedom Unlimited with me, Jen Ramsey. I'm so pleased you're here. So these questions you just heard me ask are questions that incredibly high-achieving women have asked me. These are women running successful businesses or in senior corporate leadership roles. What's going on here? What's going on here are serious cases of imposter syndrome. To me, one of the most incredible phenomena of our modern times. So this episode, going to air in the week of International Women's Day on the 8th of March 2021, is devoted to imposter syndrome. I think it's time we have a serious conversation about this thing called imposter syndrome and what we can actually do about it. So what is imposter syndrome? Imposter syndrome is that voice that we hear in our head that says we've only succeeded due to luck, rather than any of our own capability or skills or talents or qualifications. It also makes us feel we're simply not good enough. It's that very deep fear that someone, somewhere, is going to find out soon that we cannot do what we said we would do. It is that second guessing that we do of ourselves and the decisions we make. And it's incredibly detrimental to our self-esteem, our self-worth, and our ability to do our job. It's really undermining, and the thing of it is, it's incredibly common. Research in the International Journal of Behavioral Science shows that an estimated 70% of people will experience some feeling of imposter syndrome at some time in their lives. Imposter syndrome was first identified by psychologists Pauline Rose Clance and Suzanne Imes in 1978. What's really interesting is that the literature has continued on since then and has found that it affects many people and can occur as a result of a range of reasons. One being our personality type. Perfectionists like me or recovering perfectionists like me, raise your hand. The other factors are also our circumstances and conditioning growing up. Here we're talking about the situations we might have been in when we were children and also the things that people said or didn't say to us as we were growing up. The bottom line is that imposter syndrome is something that we're all susceptible to and can affect so many of us at different times of our lives. It doesn't matter who we are, whether we've achieved a lot or whether we're just starting out, whether we're young or whether we're old. It can strike at any time. In fact, I've noticed in the conversations that I've been having with people is that it can impact people as they advance in their business or career. It seems to me to be something that actually becomes more of an issue as we get older and reach a threshold in terms of perhaps the role or earning capacity that we may be having now that might exceed the level that our parents reached. So there's a lot of complexity to this, and the bottom line is that imposter syndrome must be dealt with. Because in my view, it's one of the big things that keeps us playing small and stops us from really achieving our dreams, our goals, and our desires. It can be really debilitating. And when I speak with people, I hear stories all the time in terms of how it's keeping them small and it's stopping them from sharing their knowledge and value in a particular area. The other thing is that it really can stop us from fulfilling our own purpose and our own goals for our business or our careers. And most importantly, if we have a bad case of imposter syndrome, it can stop us from helping those who most need our help. It keeps us out of alignment and away from inspiration, and it stops us from feeling personally fulfilled. So these are all reasons why I think it's incredibly vital that we do something about it now. So, how do we fix imposter syndrome? Well, to me, imposter syndrome is absolutely possible to fix in my view. It does take time. It is something we need to be aware of, but it is completely doable. So I wanted to share a few key steps with you today to really open this conversation up about imposter syndrome and to share with you how I think and how I've dealt with imposter syndrome and how I see others around me doing it. So step number one is to realize that fixing imposter syndrome is an inside job. Firstly, we need to be aware that imposter syndrome is a thing. And next, we need to realize that imposter syndrome is something that we need to address on the inside of us. It's not something that we'll fix by doing yet another training course or getting another job or doing something in our outside world to fix it. Imposter syndrome means we have to go inside and we need to further develop our relationship with ourselves so that we can really understand that what we're saying and what we're doing to ourselves is having a negative impact. Next, we need to be aware of the voice of the imposter syndrome. We need to take note of the negative stories that we tell ourselves. These are the stories that I have found can be on constant autopilot and on rotation in our minds. So this is where listening is so important. We need to hear those stories and those stories that are running unconsciously, and we need to make the unconscious conscious and move from being on this autopilot of imposter syndrome story and move into more conscious awareness of our thoughts. Because the bottom line is these negative stories are the ones that will completely undermine our self-confidence, our self-worth, and our self-esteem. And none of us can afford to do that. We need to be firing on all cylinders. So we need to be very aware of these negative stories that we could be telling ourselves. Step number 3 is to turn those negative stories around and to create a new story for yourself. Now, if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, you know that I am super focused on the stories that we tell ourselves, because I believe the stories that we tell ourselves and the beliefs that we hold and the emotional frequencies that we hold completely determine how our life goes. So, in relation to imposter syndrome, we have to turn around those negative stories as soon as possible. We need to also recognize that the stories are probably underpinned by some limiting beliefs that are a part of those stories and are really connected to them. So we have to really address those limiting beliefs. And it is absolutely possible to do this. We firstly start by thinking about understanding that just regularly as we run those old negative stories. So every time you hear a negative story pop up in your head, you replace it with that new story. Step number 4 is to really start to value yourself deeply. Understand your own worth. This is really a vital part of this step. This is the time for deep introspection that I was speaking about earlier. So to do this, take out your journal and a pen or pencil and handwrite everything you've achieved so far in your life. And it is really important to do this handwriting, this piece from a handwritten perspective. There is something special that happens between our brain and our hand and the pen. So it's something that really impacts our subconscious, and we move into a new space within ourselves. So really take a minute to journal down and value who you are, what you've done so far, and how far you've traveled in your life, and how even if you've had difficult moments in your life, the lessons that you've learned from those moments and the gifts that they've given you. The other thing here is to have real gratitude for who you are right here and right now. Right now, you are enough. You are worthy. And this is a really vital piece of the pie in terms of dealing with imposter syndrome. It's time for you to start preparing some evidence, some positive evidence for your value and for your worth in the world. And what I'd really want to encourage you to do is to go back to your childhood and to note every single experience that you had that you feel has made you worthy, because your worth is you are worthy exactly as you are, and all of the sum total of the experiences that you've had so far. Step number 5 in our dealing with imposter syndrome is to, when we move on from valuing ourselves deeply, we then need to value ourselves daily. So a daily practice of reminding yourself of your value is really a critical step in creating a new neural pathway in your brain. What we're doing with these steps is we're really working with the neuroscience that we know the way the brain works, and we're starting to move from living in that survival mind into a mind that thrives. And the way we do that is by creating these new stories and really valuing ourselves. So that, and valuing ourselves daily, it's really, really important to come back home to yourself Ideally, I do this every morning. You need to have a really strong morning routine that really helps you reinforce and focus on your achievements, and to remind yourself of your achievements, what you've done in the past 24 hours that has made a difference to you or others in your life. And it's this gentle reinforcement day in, day out that starts to really flip the switch on some of those stories that you might be telling yourself. The next step in our process, step number 6 in terms of dealing with imposter syndrome, is to stay in your lane. This is where you drop any comparisonitis with what other people in your world are doing, with their qualifications, their roles, or the success that they've had. There is absolutely no value in comparisonitis. For me, it's a very quick road to the bottom, to low self-esteem and low self-confidence. So instead of focusing on others, focus on understanding and acknowledging your own achievements and your own capability in line with your own self-worth. And just to realize that you are absolutely valuable and absolutely worthy exactly as you are, right here, right now. The other part of this piece is to understand is that there is an abundance for everybody. There is enough for everybody. So comparisonitis doesn't get us anywhere because it puts us into a lack mentality, and we focus on others and what they're doing rather than what we're doing and have the successes that we're having. So the big mindset shift here is to remember that there's enough for everyone and to stay focused on your lane. And as I speak and coach with women in all sorts of parts of the world and all sorts of different businesses, I hear this time and time again. When I focused on myself, when I stopped worrying about what others thought, then my business took off. So it really is, there's so much truth in that for you. Step number 7 in terms of dealing with imposter syndrome is to step into your own power. This is the best thing that you could do for yourself, is to really make a decision to step into your own innate power and your innate value and worth as a human being. The key thing here is to remember that this is a decision that you make and then you live on a daily basis. Yes, it's a decision. No one is going to come along and say you're worthy or that you are powerful. It's something that has to come from within inside you and that you then live on a daily basis. I have to say that stepping into my power has made all the difference in my life. My relationships, my business, my health, and my finances are all completely different as a result of this decision. I no longer worry what others think of me as I go about my business. Instead, I'm more open and I'm more aligned with myself and my life. And I am achieving far greater things now as a result of stepping into my own power. And what I've really realized is that stepping into your power is the absolute opposite of imposter syndrome. To me, imposter syndrome is to deflate yourself of power, to take your own power away. And when you step into your power, it's the absolute opposite. And when this happens, you live from a very powered up source from within you, where you can be fully clear within yourself in terms of what it is that you want to do and how you can serve others in your life. So as ever in this podcast, it's now time for me to hand this over to you. I want to hand these steps over to you for you to consider how you can deal with imposter syndrome in your life. So if you're struggling with imposter syndrome, I really encourage you to go back and listen to this episode again and to really consider how you can integrate each of these 7 steps into your life. If this is something you feel you are struggling with more deeply and you would really like a hand with this, I wanted to let you know that I have a new group coaching program coming up in April 2021 called Unlimited. In this group coaching program, I will be taking you through exactly the steps that I've explained here today, and I'll be also taking you through some other incredible steps in terms of really dissolving your fear stories once and for all. So really showing you how to deal with fear, how to deal with anxiety, and how to really dissolve those fear stories that you might be running. I'll also be sharing with you how to really power up in your life, how to step into your innate power, and how to really step into life with lots of joy and fun and a lightness that perhaps you don't have right now. So everything that I'm sharing with you in this program has absolutely worked for me. It is backed by science, and it also is supported by the spiritual wisdom of the ancients. So it's a 9-week program where we'll be working together as a group, and I'll be sharing with you yoga and meditation and breathwork practices to really help you integrate the work that you'll be doing in the program into your life. So it's very much a holistic group coaching program. We'll be meeting twice a week. once for me to share with you the lessons for that week, and then to give you worksheets and templates of things for you to really use in your life. And then we'll also be working a second time every week where I will be taking you through a very, very gentle yoga class and also very gentle breathwork techniques to really help you find this power within. So I'd love to share this with you. If you'd like any more information on that, please DM me on Instagram at JenRamseyFreedom, or email me at hello@jenramsey.com, and I'd be really pleased to share information about Unlimited with you, because that's what I believe we all are. We all are completely unlimited. We can all step into that unlimited power. We just need to understand that we've the steps to go there. So I'd love to share that with you. So please DM me on at JenRamseyFreedom, or email me at hello@jenramsey.com, and I'd love to share that with you. Until we speak again, I want to wish you all the very best of luck and love for the day or evening ahead, and we'll talk very soon. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Your Freedom Unlimited. If you like this show, please share it with a friend. And if you haven't already, subscribe, rate, and review Your Freedom Unlimited on your favourite podcast player. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback, you can reach me directly at jenramsey.com. Thanks for listening.